my people. Yes, I am wearing a Pokemon sweater. Look. Okay, anyways, hi. Sorry guys, I know this is not my normal filming setup. It's way closer. Maybe we like that then. I tried to add some random Christmas lights in the back, even though I'm Jewish. Yeah. I'm gonna get into some really intense topics in this video, so gonna put a trigger warning at the beginning. I always like to do that. I've been posting a lot of shorts, and I realize there's a lot of new people here, so I thought for the people that don't know me, I would introduce myself. For all the new people, I'm Daddy. If you're not new, you've known this for a while. I've been Daddy. I've always been Daddy. I express myself and see myself as being Daddy. It's very important to me. Anyways, I'm Jessie. I recovered from an eating disorder 3 years ago from anorexia. Huge trigger warning, please do not watch this video if it's going to harm you. I get some insane accusations of people saying that I knew they would skip the trigger warning. Why would I want someone to skip the trigger warning? You are accountable for your own mental health. It's important to talk about serious things, but do not open anything that is going to put you at risk. It's not like my people, it's more of like people that just like to hate on me for existing. Yeah. But it's not my people. I love my people. Mwah. Okay, we're gonna get into some intense topics. Let's go. I'm nervous. Don't be nervous, Jessie. You've posted your whole life on the internet. Okay. When did you realize you wanted/needed help for an eating disorder? Good question. So after I came out of the closet, even though we all knew I was a little, you know what I mean? I came out and I started dating. I knew I had an eating disorder, but I also, you know, would gaslight myself into thinking it wasn't that big of a deal or anything. A lot of them got taken down, thank God, but there were these weird drama videos that were like these like dramatic videos with this music about how I had an eating disorder and I was hiding it from my audience, like almost as if I should be canceled for it, when a big part of this really sad mental illness is being in denial. And also, I was a child. I was like 18 years old. I was a teenager, you know? I think the moment I really noticed I wanted to recover was when I noticed it was affecting my relationships. I just come out of the closet and I was dating for a while and I was just ruining my relationships by this thing, and it was how it affected other people. I'm taking the glasses off for a second. It was even affecting my audience. I noticed a lot of people saying they needed to unfollow me for their mental health because of my weight, and that didn't make me feel good. Anything I posted online had a comment, anything, that I was anorexic, and obviously people can get those comments sometimes and they're just naturally skinny, but I think it was pretty obvious I wasn't. I knew a lot of people looked up to me. I think a lot of people that are prone to mental illness suffer from insecurity and feeling like they are not enough, and sometimes you have to make other people your reason, and then eventually it will become, you know, I'm recovering for myself. Eventually it was for me, but at first it had to be for other people because I was struggling. I did not love myself as much as I should have been loving myself. That's where we are. Okay, I said I'd answer any tea questions, so we're going in. How long before your boobs came back in recovery and the weight's going to the wrong places? I think a lot of where you gain weight is genetic, but everyone's recovery is different. When I first started gaining weight, when I was really recovering, I kind of had a fake recovery for a bit. I think I've talked about this, and if I haven't, surprise! I posted my, I'm recovering from my eating disorder, and then I got all these comments from people saying, you look so healthy, and at the time that scared me, and I didn't want that, and I definitely kind of went backwards for a while. Like, it was a good year after I started recovery. Sorry, these like honest videos, I do so many of them and I love being authentic with all of you, but why am I nervous? Why are you guys making me nervous? Stop looking at me like that. No. Why am I flirting with you today? What? Not the video. Anyways, the boobs. Let's talk about that. So when I first started recovering, I gained weight to my face and to my like stomach area. It felt like my face was always super bloated, and it was weird because like my arms were still the same as they were before, and then slowly things started to change, and like it quickly, you know, went to my thighs, and it was really hard for me because that was where I developed a lot of stretch marks. You know, it was very triggering. It was like a daily reminder that I had gained weight. It was very hard for me. That's why it's really, really, really upsetting when people try to tell me that that it wasn't hard for me because of the way my body looks now, because I really hated myself for a very long period of time. Yeah, like I really did not like myself, and I hated myself for recovering. And anyways, boobs. So I feel like the boobs came a good like 6 months after gaining weight. I definitely gained more weight when I first started recovering, and then like I don't weigh myself, so I have no idea, but I think I might have like lost some and then gained some and then lost some. So like I feel like I always show it the most in the boobs and the my reproductive system was really a mess. I didn't really have a period for a very long period of time. No pun intended. So hormonally I was a mess, and I got put on birth control for my acne. When I recovered, I had insane acne. It was so painful. Recovering and having a face full of acne at the same time was so hard. I cried every single day when I looked in the mirror. Absolutely. It was the hardest time of my life, I want to say. I'm putting the glasses back on because they make me hide my emotions better. Why was I randomly British? I get British when I'm nervous. I don't get British when I'm nervous. That's not normal. I just become Harry Styles when I'm nervous. Yeah, definitely not. I wish. Yeah, I was put on birth control, and I feel like that kind of hormonally put me in the right place again, and that was honestly when I got the boobs back. It's super common to have a lot of like reproductive system-esque issues from anorexia, but that's obviously not every case. So big disclaimer, every time I make a video about this, every person's situation is different, so I want to make that extremely clear. If you don't have something I talk about, if your experience was different, it doesn't make you any less valid. Cool. Okay, did you get professional help, and if so, would you recommend? Absolutely. I followed a lot of recovery YouTubers, and I followed a lot of body positive people, and I think that's an important step for when you're not getting professional help, is making sure you take in content that makes you feel really good about recovering. However, I think it's also important to do all of that, you know, have a good support system, have good friends, and, you know, really guide them on what to say, what not to say, but then also it's important to have professional help, because that's kind of one-on-one time. But it is important to have the right professional help, because I have had eating disorder therapists that have been so beyond bad. When I was going through a relapse, I had a therapist. I told her I was relapsing. I was like, I don't know what to do. And she told me to weigh myself and tell her exactly how much weight I lost, because it wouldn't be a full valid relapse if I didn't tell her how much weight I lost. So she basically encouraged me to weigh myself and told me that my relapse is only a relapse if I lose a certain amount of weight in a certain period of time. That is not true at all. So make sure you have the right person. One of my friends once told me that finding a good therapist is like dating. You need to find someone that you connect with. And I don't want to scare anyone away from therapy. There's so many great therapists out there, but do not get discouraged if there is a therapist that is not right for you, and just know where you stand and what you think is right. These people are trained professionals, but it doesn't mean that they can't be harmful. I feel like that's a really common misconception people have. I think that's why a lot of people stick with some therapists sometimes that are not the best for them, because they're like, this is a professional, how dare I say no to what they're saying? Especially when it comes to eating disorders, you have to be really fragile with things. It is overall a mental illness that can affect your weight, so turning that into just a physical disease is taking away the fact that it is indeed a mental illness. The mental illness comes first. The mental illness can have physical effects. I don't know. Maybe that's my own personal opinion. I don't think so. I think I'm right now. That's where I stand with that. Okay, cool. I guess this is more of a mental health question, but how do you cope with anxiety attacks? I had one right before filming this video, actually, because I can't find the connector to my tripod, and it might fall, and my window thing broke, so I don't get as much natural light. There's a wedding venue across the street, and they're being really loud, and I don't know what to do about it, but I need to film. Random little things. I become a perfectionist, and I have a whole routine, and things are out of control, and so now I'm ranting. Now I'm having anxiety. It's really hard to get out of it. I know this might not be the best advice, but what helps me sometimes is let it just be a voice in the back of my head. I'm like, yeah, I don't have as much natural light as normal. My tripod is broken. It is stressful. I do need to get a video up. It is my job, but worst case scenario, I film on a different camera. Worst case scenario, you hear the wedding venue and there's some weird music in the back, making them feel like they're micro in the grand scheme of things, you know, when it comes to niche things. And then sometimes you have anxiety about bigger things. It's not just there's a wedding venue across the street that's being loud and I have to film. With that sort of thing, one thing that really helps me is just for a second having like one really happy thought and going back to it, even for like 1 minute. Because, you know, I feel like some coping mechanisms can be unrealistic because people have to work, people have things to do, and you don't want to get in trouble with your work. Like, you can't always go for a walk and things like that. You know, people are busy. Capitalism sucks. So what was that? So thinking of one happy memory and just going there for a while. Baba! Listen to what he has to say. Having a cat in your arms really helps, I'm not gonna lie. Like, when I'm really stressed, he can tell and he'll just wrap his arms around me. See, like instantly I'm like, damn, things are okay just from petting this little cat. Obviously that's not easy for everyone, but that's personally what helps me is my baby. Ooh, do you have any tips for someone struggling with binge eating disorder? Binge eating disorder is very commonly overlooked and it's extremely important thing to shed light on. It's really unfortunate that people don't spread as much awareness on binge eating disorder, because binge eating disorder, just like any eating disorder, is something that can take over your life and consume you and is a really hard thing to recover from. It's so silly because people will just be like, just stop eating that much. I feel like this is a common misconception, but I even dealt with binge eating when I had anorexia sometimes, and it was really scary. It's an out-of-body experience. You don't feel in control. It felt like I would blink and then the next second I was just in pain and mad at myself, and you don't know what to do. It's extremely important if you have a binge eating attack to not restrict after that. Eat the next day, eat everything you normally would. Don't restrict yourself the next day, because then you're going to keep binge eating. That is something that is so important. And then with that, you have to have empathy and, you know, you have to have sympathy towards yourself. Like, you have to be like, I still deserve nourishment the next day, even after that happened. So that's like one thing that is in a whole cluster of things that contribute to helping with binge eating disorder. But if I could give any piece of advice, it would be that. Did Remy the rat help you with your recovery? Yes. I freaking love that rat. What a great rat. Like, I think about how good that rat is a lot. Like, once a day. I'm trying to recover from burnout. Do you have any tips on how to get better? Oh my gosh. I struggle with that a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm extremely privileged to have this job, but I think my situation is kind of interesting because I never had a normal childhood. My life and identity as a young teenager was my work. Having that since you were 15 years old, like feeling like your career is your life, is scary. Beyond that, okay, my job is posting online, and that is a beautiful and wonderful and incredible thing that I'm so privileged to have, and to be able to talk to so many of you, like, that is so important to me. But beyond that, being online for so long and having so much responsibility so young, being expected to be an adult in these situations and never feeling like I was able to be a kid. I went on like a YouTube tour when I think I just had turned 17, and I was severely overworked. I can't even tell you. It was like these 15-hour work days while doing online school and then traveling around the country on my off days to film these brand deals, and it was probably the worst time of my life. No one stopped and was like, hey, we're overworking her. This is an insane amount of pressure for anyone, let alone a minor. No parents. My manager didn't at the time, because I was a kid. I was like, I've done something wrong if I say no to these opportunities. I was being super productive, but I was a child. I felt guilty if I couldn't do anything. It was a lot. Anyways, obviously don't focus too much on the past, but going back and rewriting these situations and scenarios and being like, that wasn't okay. I shouldn't have been working that much. Other people weren't allowing me to love myself. Whatever situation it was, like going back and rewriting these old situations in your head so that you can rewrite your new ones with that same mentality. Like, wow, I always worked on my weekends. I never had a day that was my off day. That's why I'm exhausted now. That is okay. Validating your feelings, because I feel like people that overwork themselves and are burnt out are typically people that don't validate their own feelings. I feel that. Practicing validating those feelings and practicing setting boundaries with yourself too. Realizing your purpose in life isn't to create and work. Even with guitar, I'm like, I would love to post more videos of myself playing electric guitar. I don't feel like I'm good enough and I need to put in more hours. Maybe it's a Capricorn moon thing. Realizing not everything has to be perfect to be good, and you don't have to be the best at everything. Just enjoying something is enough in my opinion. People focus so much on talent, but I think a big portion of what talent is just genuinely loving your craft. We should just encourage people to create regardless of things being the most perfect pieces of work. A song might not perfectly rhyme, and it might take an extra 5 hours to get the song to perfectly rhyme. So in that case, it might just be better to get your honest and raw feelings out, and that is still a important and beautiful piece of work. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying, I don't know. How do you work out and eat healthy without falling back into it? One thing that I do, and this might be kind of niche and some people might not like this idea, but I like to just do workout classes or dance classes with my friends, and I don't do a lot of working out alone, which every person's different, but for me, I just have bad feelings when it comes to working out alone. I'm very hard on myself, nothing I do is good enough, and I go to extremes, and I don't know when I'm at that extreme and when I need to stop. So going to a workout class and going with your friends, you're uplifting each other, you're encouraging each other, everyone's doing the same thing, they're also setting that boundary with themselves, and maybe they're better at it. I think a lot of people with eating disorders don't know what's normal sometimes, so sometimes just being around people that are setting boundaries for themselves, okay, like I'm gonna work out and do this once a week, is great. Like I've just been doing boxing, and it's not focused on doing a ton of cardio or losing weight or anything. It's really just something that kind of just like, if I'm mad about something, yeah, why is there no Ratatouille 2? Boom! No, really, where's the squeakquel? Also, there is no rush to get back into it. Don't feel any guilt around not working out. If you need 3 years after you recover, if you never want to work out again, that is perfectly okay. Ooh, this is a good question. Do you have any tips on how to take care of your hygiene on bad mental health days, like showering, etc.? I want to normalize talking about feeling exhausted by literally taking care of your hygiene when you are struggling with your mental health, because it is not glamorous and it is not something to be romanticized. I just was at the dentist and got in a lot of trouble because a lot of the time I'm really exhausted and overthink at night, and I lose track of time, and it's like 1 a.m. and I skip brushing my teeth a lot, especially on bad mental health days. Treating yourself after you do those things is really important, or sometimes doing something at the same time helps me. I'm really bad at motivating myself to brush my teeth at night, so putting my headphones on and listening to music while I brush my teeth, so helpful. And I'll like dance while I'm like, yeah, and then suddenly just like that, and suddenly I just get a ton of energy. How do you get through each day with various triggers? I feel like I've been taught to feel weird about talking about this, but whatever. I'm gonna fight it. I lost my period for a very long period of time, as I said before, no pun intended. When I do get it, it's extremely triggering for me because they're very painful, and I can't help but think about the fact that I used to just not have one at all and not have that issue. I unfortunately cannot run from it. Weirdly enough, just not even allowing my time when I had my eating disorder to be something I compare myself to, you know? If anything, I like to think about how I rewrite so much of what I've been through, and I like to think about where I am now, you know? And it's hard to ground yourself, but I almost like to pretend I've always been this way, if that makes sense. It helps. It's so weird. Like, I've always just have had painful periods. Don't even let myself think about the fact that I didn't have one. I like got mine at 14 and then lost it at 15. I just looked different and I couldn't handle it, and I was scared of it, and I got it back again, and that in itself triggered me, made me feel like I lost or something, and I was like, I want to be back to where I was, and it was not good. And now I like to just think of where I am as being finite, you know? I've just always been like this. I love nostalgia and looking back at old photos of my hair and stuff like that and talking about all my old inside jokes, but sometimes it's healthy for me to think about where I am now, which I am the same person pretty much overall, just a few years older. Like, I feel like my humor is still rats. What? It's still rats and gay, but I think, you know, when it comes to the way I used to live my life, routines, what my life is like, pushing that aside and trying to feel like it's always been this way, which is how I am recovered. Don't even think about your past self as being an option, if that makes sense. But yeah, I used to just run from these things, and don't even let yourself run. It's not that you shouldn't reminisce on the past, but it's more of like a boundary you're setting with yourself when you do get those thoughts. It is my current self, it's my truth, I don't know. It's what's going on right now, and that's important. You can almost think of it as like a chapter in a book on the back of your shelf, and you can open it when you want to, but you can close it when you want to, and just focus on the book that is currently open. Tell yourself, my current self is my true self, which is true because I'm not being myself when my whole identity is my illness, because there's so much more to me. I don't know. I don't want to rant too long, but I love you all so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was super long, but I just love talking to you guys. I've done a lot of commentary videos, but I think my favorite videos are always gonna be my videos where I really connect with all of you. I feel like I was gonna sound like a millennial, never mind. I just feel extremely complete in my life when I am sharing my story authentically. Anyways, I love you all. I'm gonna feature your pages on the screen as well as your posts. Mwah. I hope you all have the best day. I love you, and I will see you next Saturday. I hope you've been enjoying all the shorts. They're all pretty gay. If you want to be in the next video, follow me on Instagram at jessie. Yay! I love you guys so much, and this means so much to me. I feel complete when I'm doing this, so I hope you feel the same way, and I love you. I will see you all soon. I love you, bye! Follow you into a fire. Follow you into a life. And you